build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. This is episode 86. We literally just talked about it, and I forgot. 96, John.
96.
86, 86, because it's Albert Kid Day.
We're off to a flyer.
I can
understand why you got that mixed up.
It must have been a wee subliminal thing happening to me there. We're literally just like, you won't know this because this happened before we started recording, but John and I were just talking about which episode number it was and then trying to relate it to who was manager at the time. It was Alex Miller. So 96 is the episode number. John, how are you doing?
Really well. How are you?
I'm good. Good, yeah. Been a busy wee day. We had 2 goes at recording short bangers last week. On our first go, John, we sounded like Daleks, so that didn't work. On the second go, we did, about 5.5 hours or something like that, that we put out. And amongst that 5.5 hours, over both episodes, I forgot to ask the question that Raymond sent in the week before that I promised I would ask last week. So I'm going to kick off this show with Ray's question, and then we'll go and talk about the game on Saturday. So Ray of Sunshine on Leith said, his question is, if you had just had a lovely shepherd's pie and had then started eating your pudding, probably a treacle sponge, but were then afforded the opportunity of more shepherd's pie, would you be able to go back to savoury? And he said, that's from Mr. J. Shuttleworth in Sheffield.
We got a microwave recently for the first time in genuinely about 6 years. We had one when we stayed in the flat, but you'll appreciate that wee flats, microwaves take up a lot of valuable real estate. And I just swore against them because all we ever seemed to do with them was just warm up beans, like fucking day in a pot and reclaim, put a mug tree where the microwave was. So we got a microwave. We inherited a microwave, and it's sitting on top of the fridge in the kitchen. And the missus got sticky toffee pudding that was done in the microwave, so it was warmed up and it was gooey and it was thick and it was fucking beautiful. I would honestly, microwaves have reached a new level of value just for that sticky toffee pudding. But to answer Ray's question, I've got no issues going sweet, savoury, starting with sweet, starting with savoury. Years ago, me and the wife did a backwards Valentine's Day. So we had steak for breakfast.
Right, and then
went way through to dinner time, where I think we just had cereal.
Why did you do this? Was this a thing?
Did it on a whim. Just trying to do something different. We've never really done it. I don't know if you and Jane do much for Valentine's Day in terms of like buying each other's gifts. Nah. If you observe it, if you get cards or that. The missus, her birthday is actually the day before, on the 13th. So it's one of those awkward things where you feel like you have to observe or do something for both. So usually we do, for each other's birthdays, we'll go out and do something together and we just patch Valentine's Day. Why am I talking? Oh, I was going to say, why am I talking about Valentine's Day? It was about steak for breakfast. You ever come across anyone that says to you, oh no, it's too early for chocolate, or it's too early for this or too early for that? Yeah.
So one year when I was wee, it was April Fool's Day. My dad woke me up at some ridiculous hour. I'm not sure if I told this on April Fool's Day episode. I don't think I did. So it was maybe about 5:30, 6 in the morning. My dad woke me up. I said, come down the stairs. And he went round, or we both went round the house and moved all the clocks forward to make it look like it was midday. And he put some hot dogs in and the rolls and everything, and then made me go up and wake up my sisters. It's lunchtime, you have slept in. And they're like, oh, fuck, getting up. And they came downstairs and they're eating hot dogs at 6 in the morning.
Superb. I'm actually going to write that down and do it in future. That's quality.
You should. I'd recommend it. It stuck with me. Like that, I literally was a kid when that happened, so and I'm no longer a kid and I still remember it. Decent. I'd be quite happy going savoury, sweet, savoury. As you can see, like I'm no shy of pudding, so
Aye,
I'd
2
do
or 3.
black
Sorry, no, you having 2 or 3 puddings. I could manage 2 or 3 puddings.
black pudding, rice.
I was tweeting earlier that I'd tweeted or I'd responded to Raymond's question saying that I don't know if you remember the name of the buffet that was in the Chinese buffet that was in the Omni, but I was in there and I ate an entire gateau, and one of the waiters was doing his nut because I'd basically just lifted it out of the fridge and took over my table. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, having cake. Like, you can't do that. I was saying, but it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they insisted that I finish. Like, if I started it, I had to finish it because they didn't want any waste, and they obviously couldn't put it back in the fridge. And I tanned it, no bother. I am honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why I think. No, it wasn't Cosmo. It was inside the Omni. So you know where I think it was maybe just to the right of the Spanish tapas place. I want to say it was maybe called China.
Right.
It's examples like that make me think that I could win eating competitions for volume. Maybe no speed, but definitely volume.
It's the Simpsons where Homer gets taken to court by the wee sailor guy for ruining him on all you can eat.
Oh, that's right.
I'm sure Homer wins the battle.
There's actually
they make him a tourist attraction.
Aye, there's a funny. Is it that one or is it another one? There's one of the episodes where Homer's eating a lot, and I know that there's quite a few episodes where Homer eats a lot, but there's one of where the animation that's just like there's a shrimp on the plate and he just keeps eating the shrimp the entire time. It's one of those mad things that I notice every single time that it's on. I know which episode that is, I know what's coming up, and I still look for it. I think I've maybe got a wee fixation on random stuff. So you know how, in fact, Raymond was saying, can you go savoury, sweet, savoury?
Yeah.
I was going to reply and say I'd probably need to have another savoury because I don't like uneven numbers. I feel like I need to try and even it up some way. And I know that's utterly bizarre.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it that much thought, but I could definitely do it if it was a nice starter as well. Like, I'm not big on shepherd's pie, to be honest. So actually, if it was shepherd's pie and then more of that, I probably wouldn't have been arsed about it. But if it was something I liked as a main course, I would go back to it. Anyway, right, I noticed you'd look to see if the match was getting shown again so you could watch it. Did you do such a thing?
So that's a question. I had a look so I'd been looking and refreshing pretty much all of yesterday and today to see if the match was available, and it came up finally at some point, maybe about 10 o'clock today, saying that the game was available, and it said full match. It was hashtag full match, and then I went into it and it was only like a 30-second preview, and I looked into the Motherwell game before that and it had again the full match, and it was like a 30-second preview. It just never went any further.
Oh, did you log in?
So I had tweeted and asked. I was logged in. Aye, and I don't know whether it was something daft that I was doing or if it was maybe like a glitch of the website, and maybe there's people aren't as weird as me out there that tries to watch the replays after they've already watched it. But no, I didn't get to watch it back. But I think for what I saw, and obviously with the caveat that I experienced the same drop in coverage that everyone else did, I probably got enough to talk about.
Good stuff. So what was your take on the game? What went wrong?
Well, I tell you what. Let me read this out. I was doing actually quite a bit of research today because I just knew that it was going to be a massive talking point because of the way that the result went at the weekend. But these are the words of St Johnstone manager Callum Davidson. Hibs are a really good attacking team.
Wait. Do it in a funny voice.
I don't know what Callum Davidson sounds like. Let's try and do one. Hibs are a really good attacking team. So we managed to stifle them and create a couple of chances. It was a game of few opportunities, and I'm delighted we managed to nick it.
It's like he was in the room.
I know. It's fantastic.
Is that all he said?
More impersonation. I'm available for birthday parties and bar mitzvahs.
Well, little Callum Davidson, he's probably right, though.
Yeah, I don't think the game. I don't think there was much to talk about in that game. However, there was obviously one very particular moment that I'm sure we're going to discuss.
What bit was that? Well, the game hinged on
Well,
the mistake, didn't it? Do you know, like there's no like I think we're generally quite balanced with criticism and
yeah.
praise, etc. On the podcast, John. But I don't think anybody can kind of shy away from the fact that it was an absolute howler that kind of cost us the game.
Aye. So I've written down that in the space of 7 days, it was penthouse to basement, probably even lower for Ryan Porteous because his Bozzy Steel. Aye, he fucked it. He made an arse out. I think I can see what he was trying to do, but it was even what I think he was trying to do. As much as I could maybe see like the available passes afterwards for the sort of limited footage that I've been able to see since then, it was just a bit high stakes what he was trying. And I think after the goal's gone in, you see Paul Hanlon jumping up and down. It seemed to me like he was motioning to Porteous to say, "Why did you not get rid of it?" Or "You should have got rid of it," or words to that effect.
Aye. So here's the thing with it, right? So I thought about this a lot over the weekend because you go and read the reaction. We talked about it on Quick Bang as well when we had folk on.
Yep.
There's definitely an argument that you should have just shelved it up the pitch. But then is that really what we want as a team? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he gave away what he did was clearly the wrong thing, but he's tried to do the right thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are a team who play the ball out for the back, right? And that's something that the fans want to see. And I suppose when it goes wrong, it's very easy to say he should have put in a rosette or he should have just cleared his lines, because that definitely wouldn't have cost us a goal. Or I say definitely would have. They might put out for a throw in and then they take a long throw in and score for that, and you go, we kind of should have tried to find a pass. But when you win, and particularly against St Johnstone, and we saw the way that the game panned out, every time we launched the ball forward, which we did a fucking lot of on Saturday, St Johnstone won the ball. And then they came back at us. So there is an argument to say, in hindsight, because he picked or because he executed the pass badly and it cost us the goal, the idea and everything about it was wrong. But I think it's one of these things that if you want to be that team that plays out for the back, and Porteous is well capable of playing out for the back, as is Hanlon, as is McGinn and Doig. You almost have to accept sometimes you're going to get it wrong. Like sometimes a mistake will happen, and you should. For me, you shouldn't lambast the player for trying to do the right thing and then fucking up, because Porteous will know that he cost us the game in terms of, well, it cost us the goal that cost us the game. But I don't necessarily think you need to train that out of him. I think he just needs to understand, like, to take more care of the pass. I don't have a problem with him trying the pass.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Aye.
Stick and twist. Aye. So I think we were praising him last week for some of his forward-thinking passes, and we picked out the one to McGinn in particular that led to Hibs' opening goal against Motherwell. Yeah. And it was just, I think looking at it, I wonder if perhaps he's maybe been a little bit unsighted by, I think, was Gogic there. So I think when on Quick Bang, you'd commented on how the mistake overshadowed the really good bit of defending that he'd done, because he was in a wee bit a battle against O'Halloran. O'Halloran's really quick. He's a good player. Wouldn't mind seeing him at Easter Road, to be honest. And he'd done really, really well to kind of jockey him to get in front of the ball, and then he brings it in towards the goal. And there's a wee moment where I think he looks, and then he goes down and he plays the pass. And I wonder if that point plays just moved that fraction of an inch or a metre or whatever it happens to be, and the balls went straight to middle.
Yeah.
And aye. So and that's the thing. Like, maybe I think that maybe just goes back to what we were saying before about just knowing when to play that pass, and probably at right back when you are defending an attack isn't the right time to do that.
Yeah, or if you're the centre half and you're out in the left back position, which is really what was passing in the middle, like that's it. He's passed it to the space that he's vacated almost. Do you know, Hanlon's in the box. Marciano's come short to receive a pass. Like if Porteous wants to go back to him, he's given him that option. But in doing so, when the ball hits Middleton, Marciano's nowhere. Like he makes a dive to try and save it, but He's nowhere close to it. I wouldn't blame Marciano for not getting close to it, because, like you say, he's got to go make himself available for the pass, because that's what we do as a team, is we play the ball, like, we're comfortable on it. So I think it comes down to that. Like, the fundamental thing is that it was a bad pass. No, the idea of the pass was bad, but the actual execution of it was dreadful. And then obviously Middleton scored. Middleton did the gesture as well.
I don't know.
Who the fuck's he doing that to?
I sort of hope that wasn't come up. Wasn't going to come up, because we talked about it on Short Bangers a wee while ago, and I was saying that I didn't really have an issue with it, but Middleton got
like the
exactly. That's the thing. I don't know. I really don't know. And it seemed, unless it was in response to something that was being said for the bench or whatever. But Glenn Middleton's Hibs career can be summed up in about, I don't know, 6 words or less.
It's not very good.
So what's his issue? Like, it was almost as if he was trying to say, kind of giving it the get it right up you, but what? He's Glenn Middleton, unfortunately, with the goal aside, and no disrespect to the person, but as a footballer, as an opposition player, he's utterly fucking irrelevant.
And he's not like he wouldn't
so
get
I don't know, like it.
He wouldn't get into our team.
Aye. It seems a bit odd. It's not like he left under bad circumstances. I think, did Heckenbottom get emptied and then he was recalled for loan? I can't remember the exact circumstances.
Do you know, he got some, I think he got some stick on social media for putting either Rangers poster pictures up, or, do you know, something like this, where it was maybe seen by some as being a bit disrespectful. And you know how precious folk are about things like this on fucking Twitter and that they lose a testicle about fucking complaining about it. So maybe it was something like that. But I was watching it going, what a prick, why would you do that? Like, you shushing a carb, unless one of the seagulls, mind, we had the theory that the seagulls maybe like the football and it's not the food that they're after anyway. So there's maybe been
there's a seagull flying in, giving it that.
Sitting in the famous five, me giving him the the whole game, and that's who he's shushed. So maybe. That's one theory. But there really wasn't anything in the game beyond that. And I've seen, so I don't know if that was the implication when you were quoting little Callum Davidson earlier on when he was here to tell us what he thought. Whether the inference was that we played all right and St Johnstone played all right, and therefore there wasn't much in the game. But for me, there's a bigger problem that we didn't really pose any threat to them. I think we had one shot for Boyle where the cross came in and the keeper made a really good save at the end of the first half, and then his offside goal for Boyle. And he was well offside. It wasn't like a marginal decision. He just mistimed his run. But other than that, I don't think their goalkeeper got his jersey dirty. And that's a problem.
Aye. I can't remember when it was, but we were talking about Cadden, and the question previously was, how does he get back in the team?
Yeah.
And we said, well, maybe it's to Hibs' betterment, if that's the right word, the opposite of detriment, that he stays injured a wee bit longer, that he stays on the bench because it's fine. And then we found ourselves in a situation. I think it was Leon. I can't remember. It was someone on Quickbang that had mentioned it, and it was about Cadden missing, and that forced Hibs to play Boyle through the middle, which meant that we lost that attacking outlet. Yeah. And suddenly that, and it wasn't just missing Cadden. I think we probably would have been all right had it not been for the fact that we were missing Nisbet as well, and that seemed to interrupt Hibs' flow. That I think that we'd started to find a real bit of rhythm in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I said I was going to reference it again because I'm a stuck record on it. But that midfield three of Gogic, Newell, and Irvine seemed to really be finding rhythm themselves, which was complementing the rest of the team. So Cadden being missing meant that we weren't able to push Boyle up front and have that outlet on the right hand side, and missing Nisbet was the double whammy. Like, it was just, we were absolutely snookered. And I wonder as well if, because there was a lot made of the 7 or 8 changes that St Johnstone made and how they were playing their second string or whatever. wonder throughout the week, for like in all of Jack Ross's and the team's preparation, were they preparing to play against a different outfit?
I think they played the same way. Like, I know the personnel changed. I think there was a very typical St Johnstone performance. By the way, I'm glad you brought this up as well, because there was a lot of chat online about how can St Johnstone, as the line in quotations, the smaller club, managed to make 7 changes, and yet we are struggling to put a full bench together. And you think, well, there's a definite difference in quality now. I say this, and it sounds like a bit sour grapes or whatever, or like a kind of counterintuitive given St Johnstone's results against us this season. But there's very few players in that St Johnstone team that are going to take the place of one of the Hibs players. Like, we're above them in the league. Over the course of the season, we have been a better team than them.
So what do you make? Sorry, carry on.
So
you were going to...
So the argument that St Johnstone on a shoestring budget were able to have a big enough squad to make 7 changes, and yet we couldn't, despite the difference in size of the club and the budgets, etc. But I think it's evident that we have focused on a higher standard of player, and you do run the risk that if you've got injuries to Cadden, Murphy, Nisbet, who are all 3 that would go into the first team, you would think, right, Cadden, might not have been guaranteed to start. Murphy, I think, probably would have started, and Nisbet definitely would have started. Had they been fit, the overall quality of our team against St Johnstone's would have been, much better. You're looking at a team that's playing Callum Booth. So Callum Booth, highly rated, and I watched him coming through the under-19s, terrific left back, but he's like, again, try to say it without being disrespectful to St Johnstone, but I would say that's his level. I don't think Callum Booth would come in and get a game at Hibs, for example. I don't think he's better than Josh Doig. I don't think he's better than Lewis Stevenson. Liam Craig, I don't think would get a game in our midfield. I don't think he's better than any of our midfielders. David Witherspoon, same again. I think he's maybe on the bench. Maybe he would make our squad. But and then you've got, like, who else is there? Kerr and Rooney. Yep, maybe we would come into the team. But again, I don't think either of those 2 are guaranteed starters. So, you could have a bigger squad, but you drop the quality to do it. Or do you disagree?
I've got a wee bee in my bonnet about, like, kind of looking at other teams kind of dismissively, like we're bigger than them, or because just being bigger doesn't necessarily mean better.
Correct.
As I've been told once or twice.
So you're right, because St Johnstone have been consistently a top 6 team. Well, we farted about in the fucking championship for 3 years. St Johnstone, I think, were top 6. They've won the Scottish Cup.
I've got it. You'll not believe, you might believe this actually, but I've got their league positions comparative to ours going back 13 years. So I can read them out if you want.
No, I think I just made the point, didn't I? Like, really, anyway. That
they've consistently performed better than us.
Yeah.
For the last 13 years.
Yeah.
So who are we to say Callum Booth's not good enough to get in the Hibs team? David Witherspoon's not good enough to get in the Hibs team.
But would you take him though? Would you say to Josh Doig or Lewis Stevenson, listen, we're not going to play you because we're going to take Callum Booth for St Johnstone? I don't think you would. Callum Booth was at Hibs and was deemed not good enough.
Well,
I'm not disrespecting Callum Booth.
Not good enough.
Well,
no.
The manager
who deemed him not good enough? Because over the last 14 years, we've had 10 managers compared to St Johnstone's 4.
Yeah.
So, and the point that I'm not so cleverly trying to make is that the conversation this weekend is turned to Jack Ross, get the fuck, not good enough, can he win big games, blah, 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 blah. And I look at St Johnstone's league placings, and I look at the consistency that they've had compared to our spunking money up a wall, getting whoever it is in as a manager, and however many squads that we've had. Would I have Callum Booth in the Hibs side? We never gave him a chance. We never gave the managers a chance. We never got to see them. And those guys are performing routinely better against us.
against us, but no. So, like I say, St Johnstone are below us in the league. Do you know, like they are, as things stand, not as good a team as Hibs. They
So
won the game on Saturday, and you say credit to them. The game hinged on one mistake. Like that was it. That was the
yep,
difference between the teams.
yep.
We just then weren't good enough to score against them on the day. And again, you say, well, if we've got a few folk fully fit, maybe that changes.
Yeah.
But it's like we had a bad day against them, and it's not for the first time against them that we've had a bad day.
Aye. So there was something you said before where I was thinking, I've got the information about that as well, because I have done my research. I've got about 4 pages of notes here for this.
Are you going to tell us that we've not lost to no, we've not beat them Easter Road since 2012?
The last 10 years of games that we've had against them, they've won 9, we've won 8, and we've drawn 6.
It's a pretty easy peak. I think Fenlon was last manager to beat them at Easter Road. So again, so you talk about
it was Stubbs, I think, in January 2016. That was in the League Cup. Prior to that,
yeah,
I think it was 2012. Leon had said.
Aye, that was a league game. The last league win at Easter Road against them.
I remember the point I was going to make. So you were talking about, St Johnstone aren't third in the league just now. They are 6th, I'm going to say, behind Livy. Maybe 5th. Maybe 5th.
I think, yeah.
So we have performed better than them this season. And I think we just look inwardly as a support when things don't go our way. I think it is something that we're really, really bad at in general. It's just go to panic stations almost immediately when things don't go quite right. So Christmas period, for example, 3 defeats on the spin. It wasn't good, but we got ourselves back into our rhythm again.
Yeah.
If you were a St Johnstone fan, capable of beating Hibs, sitting third in the league, aiming for Europe, also in the semi-finals, but they have the form that they do, that means that they're sitting 6th in the league, you'd be really, really frustrated.
Yeah. Should have been better, though.
Aye. Like, how is it? It'd be like us going out and beating Rangers and then, say, losing to Ross County, who are sitting bottom of the league, for example. Yeah. They can beat us, but then they're dropping points elsewhere.
Aye. Like, I think there's a lot to be said. You mentioned, so there's my thinking going with this. You're talking about the churning players at Hibs and players not getting a chance at Hibs. And amongst that, you also mentioned that St Johnstone had 3 or 4 managers in the time.
4.
4 managers.
Oh, sorry, they're now on their 4th.
Yeah.
Because they obviously just recently sacked Tommy Wright.
Who is, and Callum Davidson was somebody who, when Tommy Wright left, he wasn't sacked, which is another thing to bear in mind, because it sort of goes along with this point. That continuity with them bringing in Callum Davidson, who had a strong association with the club, had been there under Tommy Wright. There's very little change in the way that St Johnstone play. There's maybe a bigger argument for sticking with the manager and then getting more out of worse players than going through a constant churn of players and managers, chasing we should be doing better than this.
So is that a bit like this almost sounds like it's a pre-recorded script, but I was going to say, is this a little bit of what Hibs are trying to do in having that identity and having guys like Darren McGregor and David Gray working behind the scenes and doing the work that they do, so that we have that continuity of people who come through? There's not a new manager every 18 months. There is a continuity in terms of how Hibs want to play and what we're trying to achieve.
Right.
Do St Johnstone already have that model?
No, I don't think they do. Although they do have players there who have a big association with the club. So Liam Craig has been there for a good number of years. Xander Clark, I think, came through their academy. Callum Davidson's obviously there. Murray Davidson, I think, has got a big affiliation with St Johnstone. I think he's still there. So there is like a kind of core of players that have been there for a period of time, which helps them. O'Halloran's in his second spell at St Johnstone. But Hibs have that as well. So I don't think that's necessarily a defining factor. And I want to say yes to your question about McGregor and Gray. However, I'm not convinced that either of those two will see out their contracts. I know they got the sort of it's just a gut feeling, by the way. They've not got any knowledge on that, but There was an article with David Gray recently where he was kind of talking about being frustrated and not playing. I think David Gray's made a dozen appearances over the last 2 years, something like that. He's definitely
But if it's the article that I'm thinking of, I think he also acknowledged that this was the first time he'd been fit in about and been able to train. I think maybe for the last couple of years.
Yeah. So definitely the fitness and stuff comes into it, but he's been fit all this season, and he's played a handful of times. McGinn's definitely picked ahead of him, and he was given the contract, I think, under Lennon. I think
but
so, or Heckenbottom maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it was a Heckenbottom or a Lennon decision to.
No.
Was it not Leanne Dempster that was looking for that?
It would have been all of them. So Graham Matty would have been involved. Leanne Dempster would have been involved, and I think it was Heckenbottom. I would say Lennon, but I think Heckenbottom. But there's been a lot of change. Like only Graham Matty remains from the folk who were involved in that. David Gray might not have the same thought process. It might not be something that Jack Ross is looking at. So I want to say yes because I think it's a good idea. I think there's a lot of value in having players with a really strong, deep-rooted connection to the club staying there beyond their playing days and seeing the transition of new players coming into the club to get them settled into the Hibs way.
If the players move on, David Gray in particular for first team football, because he's the only one I think that's been quoted in the press recently is talking about himself and being frustrated at first team football. I don't think Darren McGregor said that. I hope that the initiative to try and have that continuity remains of having. You definitely referenced it before, but I can't remember the exact words that you used. And it was just having that structure, that way that people can come in and they know exactly what's expected of them, exactly what the club's trying to do. Because I think I know it's just numbers and scribbles on a page, but I think when you compare St Johnstone and Hibs, with the difference in resources, if we had with the apparent resources that we have, or the apparent greater resources that we have in comparison to St Johnstone, if we were to have a bit more consistency, instead of chopping and changing managers and squad every couple of years, we'd surely be better off for it, or it would give us a better chance at being better off for it.
Yeah, well, I think we've talked about it before, John. I think we've been clear where we stand on it. Like the panic stations, like so. Again, getting on the soapbox, I didn't really intend for this episode to be a soapbox episode. Jack Ross,
do it in a funny accent.
There's folk talking about this season being a failure, right? So before things have happened, right, which is the first kind of minor gripe that I've got, right? But talking about it being a failure, and if we don't meet third, for example, so having been in the position that we're in just now, if we throw it away, then that becomes a failure. If we don't win the Scottish Cup, so not even getting to the final now, if we don't win the Scottish Cup, then that becomes a failure. And the calls, and it's not from everybody, right? So there's a few folk are saying they want to get into Jack Ross for it, and you think, right, it's absurd, right? In my opinion, and it is just my opinion, and I fully accept that other folk will disagree with this, right? And that I'm totally fine with that, right? It's just what I think. I think if a manager gets you to that position where you are, how many games are left in the season? 4 games? Is it 2 league games?
2 league games, 1 semi-final game.
1 semi, so 3, potentially 4, right? We are 4 games away from a season that will be better than either of us have had in our lifetime in terms of tangible success. So the potential, and with 4 games left to go, we've got the potential to finish third, which is as high as realistically we can finish most seasons, and a Scottish Cup win, which we've done once in our lifetime, right? To do them both at the same time would be incredible. Now, we've got a manager who's taken us to that position. Why would you sack him? Why would you sack somebody who takes you that close? Because football is, I'm not going to, fine margins is the term that gets bandied about, and it kind of gets used as a stick to beat folk with when a game goes the other way. But anything can happen on the day. When you go to a cup final or a cup semi-final, you've seen it. Like I remember Wimbledon beating Liverpool, Wimbledon were fucking shite.
Yep.
Liverpool were probably at that moment in time the best team in the world, or one of the best teams in the world. Wimbledon beat them in the FA Cup final. Liverpool failed that day. There's countless examples. Team Clyde beat Celtic during the Scottish Cup. Should never happen. By all measures that you look at, Clyde should never beat Celtic, and they did. They knocked them into the Scottish Cup. Brora Rangers beat Hearts. Right? It should never happen. They beat them after playing 3 games in the season, when Hearts have had a full season behind them, more or less. St Johnstone beat Rangers. St Mirren beat Rangers this season, when Rangers have been tanking everybody. Football, that happens in football. The manager can control so much. Now, you wouldn't look at Steven Gerrard this season and say he's been a failure, right? You just wouldn't, right? They're going to go by the look of it, the season unbeaten. Hope so anyway, because then Aberdeen didn't take anything for them, or know enough to trouble us. And they had a decent European run as well. But they didn't win the League Cup, despite being strong favourites. They knocked Celtic out the Scottish Cup, and they went into the game against St Johnstone by far and away the biggest favourites out of the teams left in the competition. Now, Rangers, if they sacked Steven Gerrard because he failed in 3 cup competitions and only won the one of them, they'd be fucking idiots. And we'd be the same. If you take Jack Ross has taken you to 4 games, or within 4 games, of the best season in our lifetime, in terms of tangibles, and there is argument that, like, oh, well, the football hasn't been that pretty. Fucking big deal, right? We always said, see, if we'd won 2-0 on Saturday and played shite, we'd all be happy with it, right? In terms of success, it would be the best season of our puffs. Stubbsy got it chucked at him. Stubbsy took us to 2 cup finals in the one season. When's that happened before? Like, can you remember in your life, John, being to 2 cup finals in the one season?
No, I don't think it's happened.
No,
that I can remember. I've been to.
I don't think it has, right? Not I remember anyway. So we lost last couple of minutes to Ross County in the League Cup, obviously won the Scottish Cup. And then in the playoffs, so again, it was like last fucking minute or something, wasn't it, when Volker scored? Fine margins, right? It's like a bounce of a ball, or whatever. That's, and your luck's either there or it's no. And Rangers look at that cup final as well. They're like a fucking corner kick away from going to extra time and maybe a totally different outcome, right? They didn't get it. We won it. That's how it goes. Folk wanted Stubbs sacked. Like, if we hadn't won the Scottish Cup, they wanted him sacked. And you go, it's fucking mental. 2 cup finals in the one season. How could you sack somebody who's got the ability to take you to like a ball-hair? It is like a ball-hair success. That's not somebody who's a failure or a bad manager. That's a good manager. It's maybe there's a bit of luck or, whatever, something to go their way. It's really frustrates me. Like, you get, and even then, that was our first shite performance for ages on Saturday, and we were brutal. You kind of dress it up like that game was crap. Like, you watch it. Yeah. One solid attempt on goal, from what I remember. And folks have got, well, he's a shite manager, it's Jack Dross is coming out again, and all that crap. And you think, wait the fuck, man, what do you want?
I had it written down.
What you want? What you really want? I really apologise for going on my soapbox again. Like I say, I wasn't meaning to have the big rant, but when you start talking about it, you're like, oh, fuck's sake.
It was the number of shots and the shots on target. St Johnstone and Hibs had the same number of shots on target. In fact, do you know what? I'm almost fed up with my own argument, because I'm of the same opinion as you. Just, we're not even anywhere close. We are so far away from being at the point of panicking. It's no funny.
Aye.
You're right. It was a shit game. It was a shit game, and you wanted more from Hibs. But the fact of the matter is, we Callum Davidson, Hibs are a really good attacking team. So we managed to stifle them and create a couple of chances. It was a game of few opportunities. I'm delighted we managed to nick it. It was a shit game. And taking into context the sort of double whammy of not having Cadden available and having Nisbet taken out as a precautionary measure, thinking about the games to come, there's 3, potentially 4 games to come. And the 7 or 8 changes that St Johnstone had that arguably might have upset Hibs' performance. That's what we got. It's shit, but that's where we are. Sometimes you have shit games and shit performances. It just so happens that it was in the context of the league, context of the league, Hibs could have wrapped up third, and we didn't. But we have Aberdeen to play next week, and based on our most recent performances, with the exception of the game at the weekend there, I think we've got the beating of them.
How much of a bearing on everybody's mood do you think it had, the fact that Aberdeen won on Saturday?
Probably. Like, we've seen it all season. Like, we've had a laugh about it recently with the whole this is why Aberdeen will finish third. Yeah. They still have to, is it 4 points they need to overturn against us?
Yeah, 4 points and 10 goals, I think. 4
points and 10 goals. So I still firmly believe that Hibs are in the driving seat for securing third. And like, what's the chat going to be like? So it's almost as though every bit of criticism that's been launched at Hibs and Jack Ross this season, we've managed to bat away. So the whole, we're on the cusp of batting away that last one about this is why Aberdeen will finish third.
All right.
If Hibs finish third, I want to give everyone that ever came out with that, Brian included, the big fucking fuck you.
Aye.
I don't even accept that the football's that bad. I just don't.
No, Saturday was, but in general, no.
Saturday was, but by the opposition manager's admission, they set out to stifle us.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that we're a really good attacking team, and they set out to stifle that. That, like, every team, regardless of who you are, what your budget, your size, whatever, there are going to be teams that come out and do that to you. That's just a hard game. That's just the nature of it.
You can understand it. So there's obviously a few squeaky bums, right? We might throw away third. What I found weird is you go on Twitter and you had folk, we're not going to win the cup, right? And they came in the logic there, right? They straight away, well, that's it. We're not going to win the cup now, because we can't beat St Johnstone. We're not fucking playing St Johnstone for a start, so they came why that's coming into the equation yet. We might, right? We've got Dundee United to play first. They might end up playing St Johnstone or St Mirren, right? But hopefully we beat them. But St Mirren are capable of beating St Johnstone. Like, that's no. Yeah. And by the way, St Mirren, I know that everybody would want to hear it. St Mirren are capable of beating us, as are Dundee United.
So we had the conversation last week about Hibs being favourites, and I tried to poo-poo the idea straight away because of the opposition and who were playing in their results against us this season. We're not favourites. That we have a 1 in 4 chance of winning. That's it, no more.
Have they ever said the job of the idea? A job of the idea.
Or shite it, or totally it, or
totally that,
or log it. I don't know. I don't know where these sort of. It's not arbitrary, but the whole chat about the season being a failure. So there's 12 teams that compete in the Premiership. 11 teams didn't win it. So does that mean it was a failure of a season for all 11? There's 100 odd teams that compete, I think, for the Scottish Cup. There's only one winner. Does that mean that everyone else is a failure?
Yeah, that's the logic.
So it's not just us. Like, that's fine. I can accept that we're a failure if we acknowledge that 10 other teams are failures in the league. Aye. And hundreds of others in the Scottish Cup and the League Cup are equally inept, I think equally shit, and their managers should be emptied.
Yeah, I think that's where the frustration comes with. And I think we talked about it before when we lost the last semi-final. And I'm really reluctant, because it sounds like you're making it sound like it's all right to lose a semi-final, because it's shite when you lose a semi-final. You're
right, it's shite, and that's the difference.
It hurts. It hurts when you lose it, and especially like when you think, right, we're favourites, we're the best team statistically in the competition at the minute.
In the league.
In the league. So if
we're as good as everyone else in the semi-final.
Well, I suppose if you looked at that competition, and it was quite a good way to look at it, actually, John. But cup competitions, it's not always the best team that wins the cup. You know, like you've seen it. Like otherwise, right? Take away what's happened over the last 4 years with Celtic, because they did fucking win everything, and that kind of makes my point look a bit fucking redundant, right? But you go across the world, and then almost any league, right? And you kind of think where like England, who won the league last season, Liverpool. I don't think they won the FA Cup and the League Cup, the Champions League at the same time. Man City, they won the Carabao Cup. I think they've been knocked out of the FA Cup.
Oh, I'm not sure. But
I think. I think they did. You go the season before that, whoever won the league. Rangers this season, best team in the country by a fucking mile. They're coming away with the Premiership, and that's it. The German leagues will be the same. The Italian leagues will be the same. The Spanish league, where everybody's doing a double or a treble every season because they're the best team. That's not how football works. Like it's so blinkered and naive and like I don't want to use the term basic, right? Because that sounds quite insulting. And I'm not meaning to be insulting because I don't want to be dismissive of folks' opinions. But if your only argument or rationale for it is we should win the cup because we're higher in the league or we've got more money than any of the other teams, it's kind of it's no solid argument because history tells you that's not what happens.
Aye.
Over on a league season, the best team wins, and generally that's the team with the most money and the biggest club. That's what happens, right? And then they stay bigger than everybody else because they've won. Cup competitions are a completely different thing. So I just didn't get it. I don't understand why people are so desperate, and that's how it comes across. That people are so desperate to label Hibs a failure. When you look again historically, what's our form like in cups? Historically, like we're not. I think we spoke about it, John. Up until the last 10 years or something, we weren't a cup team at all. You know, it was very rare that we'd be in semi-finals and finals. Recently, we've been a pretty good cup team in that we get further than most of the other teams. I think Aberdeen had beaten Hampden more often than us outside Old Firm since.
Yeah, we'd had 9 appearances at Hampden in the last 8 years since McInnes had been appointed at Aberdeen, and they'd been in the Hampden appearances 12 times.
12 times, right? So three times more. But I mean, it's not a huge amount. So we're all right. Like as a cup team, getting the semi-finals is pretty good for Hibs. Getting to finals is really good for us, and winning the thing's fucking almost unheard of.
Do you know what I get? It is that sort of double-edged sword. Like I get, like you're saying, it's not. Fuck, I don't even know how to describe this. It's not that it's unacceptable to lose a semi-final or a final if you get there. It is hurtful and it is disappointing and it's frustrating, exactly as you've described. But you also have to be there to lose it.
Aye, that's the big bit about it. I think you've got to recognise it's difficult to get there, and it's really difficult to win it.
And you're still up against a team of 11 professional footballers. Like it's not just Hibs playing by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, with the goal at their mercy. Like there's other people that are actively trying to stop you from doing what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're also trying to win the game.
Aye.
And you want to be better than them, and you want to give it the whole chat about, we absolutely do not come away from here today with a defeat. We come out of here and we win. We absolutely win. If that was all that was required to win a game, to win a league, to win a cup or whatever, you wouldn't have that infamous footage of Steven Gerrard saying, "This does not slip."
Yeah. Well. I suppose if you flipped it and you looked at Callum Davidson and St Johnstone, who, again, everybody was asking the question, how can he do it and what a good job he's done? And he has done a good job. Like you can't argue. I think he lost his first 10 games or something like that. Like he had a shitmare of a start at St Johnstone. There were serious questions for a lot of folks saying, all right, I'm going to caveat this statement, John, because I'm just going off memory here. I've not looked into this, but I'm sure Callum Davidson had a really shite start at St Johnstone.
I know St Johnstone did because I went through their entire season today.
Well, they did this, but they stuck with Tommy Wright. because it happens like regularly with St Johnstone, they'd have a run where they were awful, and folk would start moaning about the manager, but they stuck with him, and invariably Tommy Wright turned it around. And I think the similar happened this season. But I think when Callum Davidson came in, they were shocking for a good wee while until he kind of hit a groove with them, and then they've just been consistent. They found a way to play and a way to win, and their form since then has been really, really good. He's won the Scottish Cup, so you've got a big success there. They're playing St Mirren, who are, I think, in the relegation places. Are they like second bottom at the moment?
Definitely bottom six.
Bottom six, anyways, and definitely in worse form than St Johnstone. Now, if the St Johnstone fans are looking at it the same as us, that's going to be a huge failure for St Johnstone to no beat St Mirren. Now, if you're looking at it, would you say that was like a big, massive failure if they didn't beat St Mirren? And it would taint the season?
No. But like I think it's obvious that I'm pretty pragmatic about these things.
Aye. Yeah, I think we both. And I try to understand
it's difficult because you and I are just kind of like egging each other on, like, no, absolutely not.
Aye, well, but if I try to see from the other point of view, right, I totally get it. Right? I get you look at it and say, it was Pretty Boy Hibs made a really good point that your targets maybe change and what's deemed successful success and failure change based on the circumstances that you find yourself in. So when you get to a semi-final, which at the start of the season would have been a success, but when you get to the semi-final and all the teams are, in inverted commas, worse than you, if you don't then progress, that makes it seem less good to have got to the semi-final in the first place. So, and I understand that point. I just don't necessarily agree with it, because I think in cup football, it's really difficult to get to a semi-final. There's only 4 teams can do it. It's really, really difficult to get to a final. Only 2 teams can do it. And it's really, really difficult to win the fucking thing. And that's, you've got to be there to take the chance. I think that's the thing.
I think so. I mentioned it before about St Johnstone's results this season and Hibs results. Hibs this season, when they score first, they've won 16 games. The other game was the one against Ross County. St Johnstone, when they score first, they've won 10 games. And I've forgotten what my point was going to be. Oh no, it was about their results. So they come up against St Mirren, and they're actually shown as being, assuming that the tables are right, they are in 8th place. But they must be in 8th place. They're in 8th place. So second position in the bottom 6, because of the stupid way that the Scottish League is set up. St Johnstone are and have had better results against us this year than we've had against them.
Yeah.
But form and their results throughout the season also suggest that they are just as likely to get beat by St Mirren.
Yeah. Mad. Cup football job, where would we be without it?
And that's the thing. Like these are all the things that I try and consider when I'm looking at all this stuff. I can't just come to one singular point and say this is what I think must happen.
Do you think it'd be good fun just for like a week if we just went, this is fucking shite and everything's shite and like the world's shite? And
I was honestly trying to do it there. I was trying to come at it from an alternative point of view of just getting on that, like you say, just getting on that bandwagon and saying this is shite and this has to change and that needs to change and blah, blah, blah. But I actually just don't think I have it in me. I don't even think I can muck about, because there was one of the points that you made at the start of the podcast about signing St Johnstone players. And I think their two centre-halves, Jason Kerr and someone else, I forget who it was, but that centre-half pairing that they have conceded more goals than Hibs this season.
Aye.
So why would we sign them? And I wish that could be explained to me. I'm not saying, by the way, individually, maybe Jason Kerr's a long-term replacement for Paul Hanlon, just for argument's sake, that's fine. But as it stands, they are not as good as us. Certainly not in the league.
It's a funny thing. So we talked about this on Quick Bang. I asked the question about the perception and reality. In fact, it was Ewan for Down the Slope who I'd watched this discussion. I think it was maybe with the Strong Opinion Hibs guys talking about Hibs being shite at set pieces, and Ewan went with kind of stats saying, right, this is, I think he said on Quick Bang it's 1% of corners results in a goal, but I think it's 3%, if I remember right. and Hibs had scored with however many in the days, the games preceding that, and they said, "Oh, but we're terrible." And I said, "Well, everybody's perception is St Johnstone are good at set pieces. What did they do with them on Saturday? St Johnstone were as shite as us. In fact,
Yeah.
I think Marciano made the save other than the one that didn't make when they scored. I can't remember Marciano having really anything to do. But you have this perception of St Johnstone, because they beat us, because they had our measure at Hampden, and they did a number on us big style, that they're this super effective team. Like you say, they've got this defence that doesn't leak goals, the defenders who don't make mistakes, that we would instantly swap into our team. But when you actually look at the stats, you go, well, that's not borne out by the evidence. The evidence would tell you we'd be better keeping Hanlon and Porteous than we would bringing in St Johnston's defence. Now, I'm not saying individually the players might be better, but as a unit, Hibs' defence is better than St Johnston's. Our attack is better than St Johnston's. St Johnston's have just been on the day better than us in 3 games out of the 4.
I think we beat them.
We drawn
at the start of the season at McDermott Park. We drew 2-2, I think, at Easter Road.
Yes, we did.
They beat us 3-0 in the League Cup, and then they beat us with that Liam Craig goal recently, and obviously just at the weekend.
Aye. Right. So,
so we didn't want to play St Johnstone, I think, in the final. But that being said, the optimist in me thinks if we had the starting 11 out that we had that started against Motherwell,
the other
and played the way that we did against Motherwell, I think we've got to beat St Johnstone. I don't think they can get near us.
I genuinely don't think St Johnstone are going to get to the final. This is my other theory on it. So I think St Johnstone think their name's on the cut. I think the prospect of getting a double is going to be talked about a lot. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but Hibs players
definitely on Quickbang
about the narrative for the press. The Hibs players are all we're going to hear up to Saturday against Dundee United is, you lost the last 3 semi-finals at Hampden. You've lost the last 3. Is it a chance to make amends? You've lost. It's a really, really fucking negative narrative. Focus on you've lost it. But St Johnstone are going to get, can you do the double? Can you do the double? Is your name on the cup? You beat Rangers out. Are you going to do the double? It's going to be a historic season. How would it feel if you won the double? I think there's a real danger for St Johnstone. Not that I give a shit, really, but I think there's a real danger that they get complacent, they get carried away in that, and then they don't turn up against St Mirren. St Mirren will not be getting any of that. It's a wee distraction for them for their league troubles, They go in, they literally have, I say literally, right, they do have something to lose, but almost nothing to lose at the weekend when they go up against St Johnstone. They're not fancied for the game. If they win it, it's superb European football for them, you would think, or close to it, depending on what happens with our semi-final. Could turn out to be a great season for St Mirren. They're a game away from it. I think St Mirren are going to have a lot to say in where the cup ends up. I think St Johnstone won't get to the final. That's just my gut feeling on it for that. And I do think we will. I think we'll beat Dundee United. I think we've shown this season that we're a better side than Dundee United.
Yeah, I don't think that missing Gogic is going to be as big a disruption to the squad as missing Nisbet and not having Cadden.
Yeah.
And I think not that Jack Ross would have sacrificed the game at the weekend there or the result, but looking at the bigger picture, you wanted to rest Kevin Nisbet and make sure that he's available for the semi-final. And then subsequent games against Aberdeen and Celtic, I think, is the last one. So
I think we'll win that one as well. Celtic season is done. Well,
just on seasons and whatnot, Neil Lennon's been brought up quite a bit. Neil Lennon wouldn't have lost that game. Blah blah blah. It's a lot of shite because St Lennon didn't beat St Johnstone when he was Hibs manager.
Well, this is one of the. I'll have a quick look. It was Junior tweeted us to say that pretty much. What's the obsession with comparing Jack Ross to Lennon?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I was looking at their. So Lennon's best season as Hibs manager in the Premiership. He won 18 games, drew 13 and lost 7. Jack Ross played 36, won 17, drew 8 and has lost 11. I think Neil Lennon's side scored more goals, but they also conceded a lot more. Hibs have scored less this season under Jack Ross, but they've also conceded fewer as well. So this, I don't know, the whole thing about like playing shite football and Neil Lennon, the sort of mythical creature that it was, he had about 6 good months as Hibs manager in the Premiership.
But there was Stephen Dobie retired. He said I think played his last game for Queen of the South, and they did a wee montage on BBC, I think, and I think they showed a hat trick he scored against us at Easter Road, Queen of the South, and a game we lost 4-2, I think, under Lennon. It's 4-2 to Queen. So never mind 1-0 to St Johnstone, 4-2 to Queen of the fucking South.
So
right. This is Lennon lost to Alloa, I think. Do you know, like you could pick there's results that Lennon and Stubbs had that Jack Ross would get hung out to dry for.
36 games in the Championship under Lennon, 119, drew 14. Like that wasn't a stellar season either. That was get out of the Championship.
Yeah, and they did the job right. Credit to him. But
yeah,
14 draws against Championship sides, Jordan. Right. So you imagine Jack Ross drawing 14 times with a Championship side. You'd get fucking slaughtered for it.
The sooner we get away for that St. Lennon narrative and the whole idea that he was a winner and he just got things done when he was Hibs manager, the better we'll be for it and start focusing on who we've got in charge and supporting the team.
Aye. Agreed. Right. What's happening on Saturday? What's your prediction?
I'm going to say the Hibs will win, and I'm going to say the Hibs will win in normal time. I'm really, really hoping that I'm going to see it because obviously the wife's expecting, and that's the due date.
Oh, is it?
So
right.
get it done. I'm hoping that she gets it done in the next couple of days, or we go into extra time, so I get to see the game.
Oh man, you need to get something on your phone that you can watch discreetly in the hospital.
Oh, I sitting in the labour ward with that like single earpiece and the wireless.
Aye, man, that's coming out quick, yeah.
Aye.
It was really, really exciting for you. I mean, every season you get a cup semi-final.
So if anyone's inducted one of their bairns and their Hibs kids recently, send us the link. One of my mates has already got us the home and away strip for this year, which was really nice of him.
Oh, phenomenal. We were looking at old, Jane's mum had been sorting out old photos into kind of years, and Jane had taken a photo of a few of them. We've got Josh and his first Hibs strip as a wee baby. I think the first, he was born in August 2003, and the first derby was the Gary O'Connor last minute win.
Oh yeah.
So,
do you know what? I can remember the name of the Hearts goalkeeper that day. Can you?
Oh, right. Big man name, Moylan or something like that.
Yeah.
Was it
Tepe Moylan, if I remember rightly?
He made an arse. It wasn't front post. They should probably have saved it, but 10-man Hibs. That was there was a guy.
That wasn't even a sending off for Grant Brebner either.
No, that was us getting done over against them again. Mind there was a guy got lifted at half time. He was a disabled person's carer because
that is right.
The ref. Look at me, like you've got. There's times you look at it and you go, oh, that's pretty bad. But you imagine how angry you'd have to be. You go, I know I'm on carer duties today, but that fucking really annoyed me, and I'm going to do something about it. I've got a lot of respect for that.
Aye, I felt that red mist come in. I've never wanted to run on the pitch in anger, just in exuberance.
The only time I've considered it, Paco Luna got sent off against Rangers for a handball goal. I think it was his second yellow maybe, and I remember it was the back of the north side of the West Stand, the lower tier, and I started running down the steps a little bit, and sure. I just kind of the mist cleared quickly, thankfully. I didn't have much of a temper, and I think I just stood there and shouted a little bit. But there definitely was that moment of going, fuck this, I'm not having this. Bastards always do this, and I caught myself just in time, thankfully.
They are human beings, but I'm pretty sure that some of them are corrupt and definitely
undoubtedly. I don't think even if it's not a conscious thing, I think subconsciously it's almost impossible to think that we've taken the shaftings that we've taken for referees over the years without there being an element of either conscious or subconscious bias against us. It definitely happens.
I can't believe that with the duopoly that we have in Scottish football and everything that is dependent on it in terms of like TV deals and various other factors, that there hasn't been a brown envelope passed a referee's way. I just can't accept it.
Aye, there has to be. And I think, like, if I was a referee, I would try and be partial, but I couldn't. Like, I couldn't referee Hearts and be fair. As much as I tried, the first opportunity to book them, just instinct would kick in. A fucking yellow card. But I only kicked off, ref. The second yellow, you're off now. Game's not even started. Well, fucking tough luck. Do the 10 men. I wouldn't be able to help myself.
Do you remember the game? I actually gained a wee bit of respect, believe it or not, for Craig Levein, but it was when he was Dundee United manager, and I think they had maybe three. Oh, was it the game where they had?
Was it 4 set off at Ibrox?
No, I think they maybe had a goal chalked off for offside, or maybe 2 goals chalked off for offside. What's his name? Bloody Davy Weir was playing for Rangers that day, I'm sure. So it was that sort of era.
It was with Dundee United, eh?
Yeah.
Aye.
And it was just an absolute shit show. And I think Rangers were on for the title at that point in time as well, which was obviously kind of lended itself to the conspiracy theory. But it looked to me, it wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was just plain as day. Dundee United only coming away from here with a point.
Aye, but anything. I mind Chris Robinson trying to get the Hearts players off the pitch when they had 4 sent off at Ibrox.
Aye, I remember that one. That was
quite hilarious.
I was still at high school when it happened. I remember Pasquale Bruno got emptied. Did Gary Mackay, was he playing? Did he get emptied that day?
I couldn't tell you who got sent off. I remember that because it was fucking funny. I think Rangers took back on them and just stopped scoring goals at that point. But it was funny. Speaking of Craig Levein, so somebody asked you, I think, it was Ricky. Sorry, Ricky, got your name wrong there. Has Jack Ross got the slight hint of Levein about him? Can't seem to get it over the line. Obviously, he's not won anything yet. I don't think so. I think Levein's been a serial loser his whole career. Jack Ross is still a young manager, so I think he still has a decent fist to making waves and winning some stuff. I don't think he's like Levein. I've also got a question about David Gray no featuring as well for Vince Robinson. And where is he? McGinn's too predictable. But I think McGinn's definitely just picked it and ahead of Gray these days. I think that's just where he is in the pecking order. Sadly, because we all love Sir David Gray. Right. Yeah. Right, Hibs win in normal time. You got a score prediction, John?
I'm going to go 2-0 Hibs.
Right. I think if we score first, which I think we will, we'll score 3. I think 3-0 Hibs is my prediction. If we lose the first goal, I'm a bit fucking worried about it, if I'm honest. But
I just, if we've got Nisbet back and he was kept out as a precaution, not because there was anything wrong with him, not because he was injured, it was just purely as a precaution to keep him for coming games, I think we'll just be too good for them because we've been too good recently.
Yeah, and we're the better team.
And I think with, I don't know, I was going to say, I wonder, I run the numbers a while back and I was saying about, statistically the team that scores first wins in 3 out of 4 occasions or something, but I don't know if that applies to cup competition. I'd like to think that if Hibs find themselves a goal behind in the semi-final, there's no option. You have to go for it. You have to go and get that goal back. Do it quickly and win the game.
So like thinking about it. Score first, Hibs, please. That's it.
Score first.
That's the takeaway from the day. Score first, please, Hibs. Just do it. Cool. Right. Well, we'll be back on Thursday for Short Bangers, John. Assuming no early baby.
I assume I'm still here.
So.
I mean, I'll still be here. Just maybe no behind a headset. Yeah.
Right. Back for Short Bangers. If anybody wants to put themselves forward as a replacement in case you didn't make it, we'll need to.
By the way, as a shout, by the way, start sending in your CVs because there's a good chance I'm going to be unavailable for Longbangers for a few weeks.
Well, John's on paternity leave. We'll need a voice to fill it.
We need another
show again.
If we can't get Brian, if we can't get Craig, because I know Craig's away back down south shortly, and Brian's still trying to get his hole. I'd like to nominate Kaiser Soze. I think he'd be the yin to your yang. And we might actually get to see what the boy looks like.
Doubtful. Well, we'll consider all applications, but obviously we can't get everybody. We do get a lot of requests to come on the podcast, and obviously we can't accommodate everybody. So that is what it is. We'll see. But if anybody wants to fill the paternity shoes of John, where he's up to his elbows in baby shite and no sleep and all the rest of it, then do get in touch. Back with Short Bangers. Also, we've got our mental health Zoom call on Friday night. So again, if you feel it's something that you might benefit from, just drop us a DM on Twitter, and we'll get you the invite. Anyway, thanks for listening. We're the Hibs. We'll catch you next time. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.